Okay, so we're going to talk about slope, and we're going to talk about the slope of a line. As you know, when we talk about slope, we can talk about slope as being steeper or not as steep. So if we take a look at the lines that I have here by the title, the yellow one, and compare it to the blue one, the yellow one is a steeper slope than the blue one, okay? So by definition, the slope of a line is the ratio of the vertical change, which I'm going to abbreviate as VC, or rise, which is up and down. So the ratio of the vertical change or the rise compared to the horizontal change, which I will call HC, or the run, which is a left to right direction of a line or line segment. You never express slope with units, it's just a number, so you never put anything like meters or kilometers or centimeters after it. The slope of a line segment tells you how steep the line is. Okay, and the sign of the slope value indicates the direction of the line, and that's what we're going to spend some time looking at in a few minutes here. Okay, so let's take a look at some ways that we can look at slope. Slope can be a vertical change over horizontal change. Okay, so I'll just abbreviate it as VC over HC. Okay, so a change in a y direction, right, vertical, over a change in a horizontal direction, which is along your x-axis, right? The variable that we use for slope is m, and the symbol, this triangle symbol here, is used to indicate change. So when you see the expression triangle y, it is read as delta y, and that just simply means the change in y. Okay, so now we can go back to here. We see the variable again. Slope is rise over run. Okay, rise is up and down again. Run is left and right. Or we can say that the slope is the change in y, okay, delta y over delta x, which is change in x. Okay, the other formula that we're going to use is below here. M is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Where do we get our y2 and our y1 and our x2 and our x1? Well, that's based on two given points that you would be given. Okay, so p sub 1 would be the first point. Its coordinates would be x sub 1 and y sub 1. P sub 2 is the second point. It would be x sub 2 and y sub 2. Okay, so we're going to go to our diagrams here. The first one is a positive slope and the second one is a negative slope, and we're just going to see why it is that way. Okay, so if you look over on the far left here, I have an arrow that points up. Up is a positive direction. I have an arrow that's going down. Down is a negative direction. I have an arrow moving to the right. Right is a positive direction. I have an arrow going left. Left is a negative direction. And we're going to use that to show why our first diagram is a positive slope and why our second diagram is a negative slope. Okay, so we're going to take a look at both diagrams using two different directions. Okay, on the first one, we're going to go from the point A to the point B. Okay, we're going to move from A to B. So if we start at point A, we're going to follow the dotted line and go to the right. And then we are going to follow the dotted line and go up. Okay, so going to the right is a horizontal change and it's positive, right? Because right is positive. And going up is a vertical change, and because we're going up, it's positive. So if we use our slope formula of vertical change over horizontal change, then we have a positive vertical change over a positive horizontal change, and a positive divided by a positive is a positive. So we have a positive, slope. Okay, well, let's say we move from point B to point A. Okay, so I'm going to erase this. this time we're going to go start at point B, and we're going to go down, follow the dotted line, go down, and then go to the left to point A. Okay, so going from point B down, that means we are having a negative direction and it's vertical change. Going to the left is a negative direction, and that is our horizontal change. So using our formula, vertical change over horizontal change, we have a negative vertical change over a negative horizontal change. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, so we have a positive slope. Okay. All right, and keeping in mind that we usually read from left to right. If you take a look at your line and we start at the bottom left, we move up, right, to the top right. So a positive slope can also be seen as rising from the left to the right. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at our second diagram, which is a negative slope. We're going to do the same thing we did on the first one. We're first going to go from C to D. So we start at point C, we're moving down. Okay, that's a negative vertical change, right? Going down is negative. And then we're going to go to the right to point D. That's a positive horizontal change. So our slope is a negative vertical change over a positive horizontal change. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. Okay, and so we have a negative slope. All right, well, let's reverse that direction then. Let's go from D to C. I'll erase what we have here. So starting at point D, we move along the dotted purple line. We're going to the left, so that is a negative horizontal change. Then we move up, and up is a positive vertical change. So our slope then going from D to C is a positive vertical change over a negative horizontal change. Once again, positive divided by negative is a negative, and we have a negative slope. Okay, so the other way that we can look at it is, once again, keeping in mind that we read from left to right, we can start at the top of the line, which is on the left, and we move down to the right, okay? So we say that a negative slope falls from the left to the right, okay? So this will end our discussion on our introduction for slope. Okay, in the next video we'll move on to example 1.